Hi, everybody. It's the show with Ron, where we add context and commentary to the news so we can understand a little bit about what's really happening rather than what we're being told we're supposed to think about it. We don't want to go down fighting in somebody else's battle. We want to know the tale. So I'm sure you've heard about the debate. It was, as we can see from these news articles, now it's apparent the news media is no longer able to obscure the mental acuity, the apparent mental acuity of President Biden. There were certain times where he gave the State of the Union address. He seemed to be energetic. However, most people around the world were able to see many clips where he he seemed to be a little bit perhaps senile, and the media worked and worked, and we've documented a lot of this on the show. If you've watched since last year, the media's worked hard to help Biden out, but now they can no longer, you know, it's the emperor's new clothes, finally. Trump showed himself to be the person we know him to be. Trump is a known quantity. He has already been president for 4 years. And the way he conducted himself, the kind of pugnaciousness, the the inability to formulate some sort of higher, lofty vision for America, which is what presidents usually do. He's just a down and dirty fighter. So a New York businessman. If you know New York people, they're kind of different. That's what Trump is, and you could say there's a lot of lies. The media will say that. I think a lot of the Trump lies come from stupid exaggeration, where he says, I took a test and I got the most that anybody ever got, and everyone was. This is just silly stuff you talk about between your friends. It's not what a politician is supposed to do, because the media then can take that apart as one of your lies. So, anyway, nobody is surprised at Trump, I don't think. But himself, Biden's performance, he showed himself to be the person that people saw in clips in the media over the past years. And certainly the political establishment, the Democratic Party, and a lot of the media over the past months worked very hard to say, well, you know, some people say Biden is 82, but Trump is 78, and that's a high number too. So that proves that Biden's not too old. And people coming forward and saying, well, we talked with him behind the scenes, and he was lucid and really energetic, etc., etc. However, people could see clips of him, his posture, his demeanor, the look on his face, the confusion sometimes. And I'll tell you, I mean, I think whether you support Biden or you object to him, you have to feel a little bit sad. It's kind of like, if you had a father, a parent, a grandparent who was once young and energetic and could speak forcefully and express themselves, and then later on in life you have to witness their decline. It makes one feel a little bit sad, and I think that was the predominant feeling I think many people had when watching the debate. And you know, yeah, a great thing to watch is CNN. That their after debate analysis. CNN is very partisan these days. They didn't used to be. Have supported the Democrats, and they to a man, to a woman on their panel, essentially said this is a disaster for Biden. And now I have, if you've watched the channel, I've talked about for months and months and months this concept. And I thought I made it up. Maybe somebody else did. But this was the idea that the United States, the great country that does so much in the world, that is the world's policeman, that has 100 bases all around the world and our soldiers everywhere, probably in your country we're running things. Well, how could this country that is a big juggernaut in so many ways present two such unsatisfactory candidates such as Biden and Trump? I was astonished and thrilled to see a lot of analysis last night make this same point. I don't know, maybe it was this idea was around before, but this is something I've harped on a lot if you've watched the channel. Another point which I have been making that they brought up, I believe on the CNN panel, and I've been saying this for months, that if the political establishment and most of the media is telling us in news, not in commentary, not in analysis, but in news, we're being told that Trump is a danger to the country and to democracy. So if that's true, why is Biden being run against Trump? Biden being obviously, that we can see with our eyes, that not really mentally sharp. And I was excited to see people making this point, which I've been making for many months. Last night, in response to what happened at the debate. So I think what has happened is that maybe in the previous year, the deficits of both candidates, of Trump and Biden, have been apparent to the media, to the public, to everyone. And we can see that with our eyes, with the clips, with the videos. The media has been very clear to point out Trump's deficits, that he's a danger, this sort of thing. And we could say, yeah, he seems a little out of control sometimes, a lot of unforced errors, chaotic person. So that matches what we're being told, matches with what we see. So last night, that chaotic pugnaciousness, it was there. Trump toned it down a little. The debate rules with no audience and turning off the mics, this sort of thing, seemed to probably help Trump, help keep him in line. So since what we could see about Trump over the past years and what the media is telling us matches, I don't think there was a big win or a loss from Trump. But Biden, people have seen a certain way that Biden is, and in the media, we've been kind of told something else. There's a lot of spin there from politics and the media, and it is this difference that is so jarring, and that now the media really can no longer continue this idea that, well, Trump's kind of old too, or maybe Trump's is as mentally unstable as Biden is. So I think there could be some more media interference that's going to be run. I know there was some stuff that was floated in the news about, oh, Biden just has a cold. See, however, it's quite astonishing how so much of the U.S. news media has finally had to admit that this is an issue, Biden's ability to perform the job. So what could happen? Already a lot of talk about how to replace Biden. I think that's going to be a very tall order. I think there's going to be no more debates. There's no way that Biden can do that. There's no way they can risk that. I think the Republicans face a danger in that any other candidate that they put up against Trump, it does change the equation a lot. Maybe Trump is in the good position he is in now because uh, because he's running against Biden. We have people like to talk about the governor of California, Newsom. California is a kind of a disaster area. A lot of it down to Newsom policies. You got to admit that. We have Hillary Clinton coming out with a new book in the wings. She's kind of a known quantity as a failure and a very unlikable person, whether or not you support her policies. Uh, um, and We have the Vice President, Kamala Harris, who, in the early days of this administration, she was always roundly pillared, even in the liberal media, as being kind of unsuitable, not ready for prime time. Of course, the media in the last couple of years has gone silent on that. And there's even been some stories about Kamala Harris has rehabilitated herself and it's now better than ever. But she's clearly going to come into focus too. And what would happen is that when the convention occurs, maybe a new candidate can be chosen at the convention. But even then, and I'm not sure the final word on this, a lot of states already have rules that the name on the ballot cannot be changed. So Biden's name would still be on the ballot, perhaps in a lot of states. This is uncharted territory. It's been probably 100 years, like the late 19th century, the early 20th century, where candidates were chosen or decided finally in the convention. And maybe that's not true. There are probably some in the when they had the 60s, there was certain times where you had several ballots cast. You had to have the representatives in the convention from each state. Some of them might support one candidate, some might support the other, so no one gets a majority, and then that candidate, one of the candidates drops out and throws his support to the other. So it's going to be an unusual situation come convention right now, and I wonder how this can be spun, how the White House can recover from this, because in the U.S. a lot depends on the media. The media thinks they're managing public perception for one party over another, but overseas world leaders, when they see not only Biden's performance but how the entire U.S. public is shocked, saddened, and or laughing at it. They see that, and now in the United States, the mostly partisan media has to admit it. They can no longer keep up the charade. So, what it might show to the world at large is there's a delusional dysfunction in U.S. politics that the political class, the Democratic Party, decided that they should run Biden despite his apparent senility, and they could depend on the media to help them out and to run interference in any time there was a misstep by Biden. So I would think foreign countries would divine. They would see an insular thought pattern in the United States that this is all about a play in power politics, and it doesn't really matter who the person at the top is. And it just comes up, this whole idea that the Democrats, they knew about this and they wanted Biden. It wasn't just the case that no one wanted to run against him. The early primaries, the bellwether primaries, were reordered. They had split primaries, so the normal date where they'd have both parties on, Republican and Democrat. The Democrats had theirs later, and that was to ensure that no other candidate could pop up and run against Biden. So there was a backstage decision that Biden was the person, and we were going to put up a facade to just get him into power. And I don't know, I'm sure other people will start to say this, but I think I'm the only one. I said at the beginning, I'll say it at the end. This is a case of the emperor's new clothes finally coming off. No one can deny this anymore. And it's a big problem for the Democrats. It's a big problem who feel that Trump is an existential threat to the United States, to democracy, to world order. And it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Certainly, we'll have a lot more context and commentary to come as we get into the election season a little further in. And please like and subscribe. These videos where you talk about politics are they're considered election advertisements in the United States, so they really can't be promoted. And so it would be great if more people watched them. And I have a book you can read here, so I'm going to play you some. Am I? No, I'm not. No? Young people find their dreams and failures in Bangkok, and then go on to the furthest places in search of something the modern world can no longer give. This is the story of There Are Still Unknown Places, my new novel on sale at Asia Books and on Kindle ebook. It's a tale for a new generation, disillusioned by the promises of the world, wanting to search for their destinies in far-off places. So I know my presentation is a little halting today. I had some notes I wrote down. It's just shocking. There's so many thoughts coming into my head, and it's so surprising to see the blinders come off, the emperor being exposed as naked, and the repercussions for the United States and the world. So stay tuned. We'll have more context and commentary. I will see you next time.